In 2003, Rabbi Alan Lew published a book that was designed to take the reader on the spiritual journey that begins 7 weeks before Rosh Hashanah and ends at Sukkot. The title of his book could well have been the title for the past year and a half. This is real, and you are completely unprepared. Who here can remember life back in January 2020? I don't mean some of the more surface stuff, like the trips and the activities and the dinners out. I'm thinking about where you were internally, the inner narratives that we carry within us about who we are, what makes life meaningful, the self-doubts that we feel, the fears, and the things that we feel gratitude for. What has stayed the same, and what has changed? Were we sent hurtling down a roller coaster of fears and anxieties? Did we feel like we were barely keeping our heads above water? Or sometimes that we were drowning? Have we found the ways to lift up and appreciate the blessings? Or did we just close our eyes tight, waiting for all of this to be over? Consider this. What if the pandemic, instead of being a deviation from the life we were living and our sense of self, presents us with a way to understand ourselves better and make more meaningful choices as we confront each day? Rabbi Lew sees the journey through this season as an annual invitation to notice where we are, who we are, our values, and the ways we find meaning in our lives. When he was writing it 20 years ago, he did so with full awareness of the many ways that we as individuals can find our lives upended and transformed at any moment. He wrote, "Although we're not often in touch with this feeling, deep down we all feel unprepared. If we look at our lives honestly, the events that really shape us, that really make us who we are the events that we didn't prepare for, or we couldn't prepare for. Like a serious illness, the loss of a loved one, the failure of a relationship, or God forbid, the loss of a child, or suddenly a child appears surprisingly, or we fall in love. These are the things that really shape our lives." He could not have imagined how, in fact, we would all be going through an event that none of us had prepared for, communally, nationally, globally. He could not have imagined because none of us could. Yet that was exactly the point of his book. This is real, and you are completely unprepared. We all are. Even now, in this moment, how many of us thought back in June, this is it, the light at the end of the tunnel, fully vaccinated, ready to go? I did. And here we are, with the face masks back on, many watching from home, recalculating the level of risk we are willing to take, dialing back some of our hopes and our plans, and we feel sad, and we feel disappointed, perhaps angry, perhaps anxious. So what do we do with all of that? In some ways, I might argue that we do not need these high holy days this year. If the invitation of these weeks is to reflect on our lives and bring awareness to what's truly important and foster gratitude, even in the midst of all that is unsettling in our lives, well, for some of us, I think that's been our inner spiritual work for the last year and a half. But I think that many of us have been putting it off, in denial. We keep shoving the invitation to do the spiritual work to the bottom of the allegorical pile of mail. We talk about everything that we're going to do when it's all over, as though this is just some extended inconvenience before we could return to the scheduled program. So I'm here to entreat you. Rosh Hashanah has now arrived, Open your invitation. Don't just sleepwalk through these high holy days out of some sense of obligation. Take some time to travel through your inner landscape. Rabbi Lew tells us we spend most of our lives preparing like crazy. We prepare for our professional lives. We prepare for our health by doing exercise. We do self-improvement. We are trying to always anticipate tomorrow. But the mounting evidence is that what we anticipate never, almost never, occurs tomorrow. We live life like a kind of Maginot Line, the line of defense that the French built to ward off the Germans, and then they ended up coming from a completely different direction. Our life is like that. It comes at us from a different direction than we think it's going to. It circumvents all of our defenses and leaves us feeling very unprepared. The kind of preparation that you do for the unexpected is daily and it's lifelong. It's tuning in to what helps you to stay balanced when the gust of wind blows. How do you maintain your equanimity? How can you recenter yourself when you feel most off balance? What feeds your soul and helps you feel connected? And conversely, if you're feeling particularly disconnected from people, from life, from a sense of something greater, what is the source, the underlying source of your dis-ease? And what might be some of the elements that you would prescribe yourself to help you find your way back? This is real. Rabbi Lew tells us that the journey begins with awareness, acknowledging where we are, noticing what arises and falls when we observe our inner landscape. In this moment, we cannot change the past or the future, so whatever else we might be able to do to direct the path of our life, it has to begin by noticing where we are now. Rosh Hashanah brings us the sound of the shofar, an ancient alarm to awaken us to awareness. Rosh Hashanah is all about birth. It's about potential. And then when Yom Kippur comes around, it brings with it a liturgy that asks us to face our mortality, the uncertainty, the lack of a guarantee about our future. While we are fasting, we are invited to let go of our attempts to control our lives, to let go of the non-essential fluff of life and focus on the relationships, the behaviors, and the incredible world in which we live. This is the path to healing and to wholeness. So I invite you all to enter into Rosh Hashanah, this new year of 5,782, with an open heart and open to the inner reflective work of this season.